All right, so thank you for coming to Montana Code School Demo Night, Cohort 3, Missoula, Montana. We are getting ready here to show you a couple different projects that they've worked on. This is the second project in this cohort that they've done. The projects just keep getting more and more exciting. Every time that a cohort goes through, the levels keep going a little bit further and a little bit further, and it just shows what we can do here in a community as we continue to push our students further and really set up the ecosystem to create the great developers that Montana needs. So first off, we've got, did you guys draw straws? Who's going first?
And then we're going first.
All right, you're going first? All right, so the first project is the tavern. The tavern, you guys can come over here. Well, you're gonna get on camera.
Okay,
okay. The first project is the tavern, and it is a social media platform for nerds. It's really a meetup. We'll let them demo it out and have a little Q&A.
Sweet. All right, so this is Mark. I'm Austin. This is the tavern. Like you said, social media for nerds. If any of you have ever heard of Dungeons and Dragons, that's basically what this is for. Dungeons and Dragons is a role-playing tabletop game, meaning location and time are key because people need to be present. So what we wanted to make was a way for people to find those interested and those who are in the same location and availability as you. So Mark wants to log into a profile real fast. Basically, what was important here was quickly displaying, obviously, time and all the information available about a person.
So as you notice on the left-hand side, we have all the pertinent information of me as an individual. But one thing you don't notice is we take all this information and use it in the back end to go to suggested possible party members, and we generate 3 random people in the entire system that are close to you. And you'll notice, like, this is Jimmy, so that's the player's name, and these are all players, none of them are dungeon masters. Important to me, it lives in Lolo because that's where I live. And then after that, we list the first game that they have, because there's so many different games like mine is Magic the Gathering, and then I have Dungeons and Dragons, and so we list just the first game that they play. And the most important thing is, you'll notice down here how we have our calendar of availability. Well, we ended up putting it in where we lay out the other person's calendar and we overlay our time on top of that. So then we're able to see in kind of real time their availability compared to ours. And then we can add them as friends, and this updates automatically. So this is all run in real time.
So I've got a couple questions about the tech.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So what was the hardest piece in the back end? I know this is pretty code heavy. What was the biggest challenge you guys had to overcome?
Just in general?
Yeah.
Redux.
Okay.
100%. Redux is really nice once we got it working. It allows us to track who's logged in versus whose current profile we're looking at, because you can look at other people's profiles while you're here on the site. So you can be logged in as Trek, but you can look at Sally's page or whatever. And the nice thing about Redux is it allows us to track the state over the entire web page, allowing us to keep track of different things and make that calendar really easy to make. But we had started with React, so it was kind of a process putting it in.
And so to add on to that, because we kept adding complexity as our projects kept going, and so React was one of the things we added on this one that we really enjoyed. The problem with it, though, is it started becoming really thorny, and we started having like this issues, and our code started becoming really long. So like we said, halfway through, we had to redo our entire code to Redux to actually get it to where we are now.
What database was this built on?
Mongo.
Mongo. Did you guys look at other ones?
Not really. We kind of just stayed with this, which ended up giving us an issue with the Mongo one, with the objects, if you remember. Yep. We started getting into the weeds of Mongo.
Yeah, it was basically we had already started working on Redux, and that was one project that was turning into a rather large handle, and we knew our time frame, so we didn't want to start adding a new database into that on top of that. We wanted to keep our new technologies small, but like controlled.
And how did you guys split up the work that was done? And who took care of what?
We actually mobbed it. And so for the first project, we started the first week where you do this, you do this, you do this. And then what happens is when you merge everyone's work together, we had little conflicting pieces because someone worked on something else and someone else, and so it just ended up being this massive pain. So after that first week, we just mobbed. So we just worked on one computer and never had that issue again.
Yep. So for the viewers who are going to be watching this, what is mob?
God, Nathan, you could probably explain it better.
Well, it's a controlled situation where you have a driver and a navigator, and the mob who sits behind that would be the rest of whoever you're working with. The navigator is going to tell the driver what to type and how to code, and the mob has voice in anything they think that might be able to be better tweaked or done better. And you'll rotate who's driving, who's navigating, and who's in the mob, allowing you to kind of have a more centered mind around the entire project instead of everybody being one separate thing.
So a group working on a piece.
Great. So technically, which was your favorite part of the project?
This one?
Yep.
The hot pink in the calendar actually made it all the way to Denver. No, the calendar was really nice to be able to overlay and see what your time available is compared to someone else's.
Mm-hmm. So the UX there's great. That's huge. And what was your favorite?
My favorite part was the fact that the profile is many different elements that we have added together. It's not just a single page. It's like there is the section of your profile information, the calendar itself, and then the party information. I like that it's many different elements. It was fun to work with that.
Great. What else? Anything else you guys want to tell everybody?
Not really. That was basically the project. It's very
Alright.
simple, but uses new technology we haven't messed with yet. So that's the fun part.
And then we kind of didn't really work on this week. We started switching over to VR, so we have a little VR demo if you guys want to come check that out afterwards.
Great. So the format will be afterwards, they're going to set up on the two different monitors here, and you can just sit down with them and talk through and really look at the code and get into the details of what really went on in each project. So we'll switch next up. GearBum. So GearBum is the easiest way to buy and sell your gear online.
Oh, not buying?
Just rents.
Just rent.
Just rents.
Jeez. Okay, taking over? Good.
All right. Thanks, everyone. My name is Luke Wallander.
I'm Soren Thompson.
And together we have created GearBum, which is a person-to-person gear rental application.
Some technologies we've used is React Native. We also use SQL as our database, PostgreSQL, and then we're hosting all of our photos on Amazon S3.
And today, to walk you through the demo, we're going to walk you through using two user stories. One is through the perspective of a gear seeker, and the other is through the perspective of a gear provider.
So I'm just going to create an account here, enter in the email.
And in this case, it's through the perspective of a gear user, so we're going to create an account, or gear seeker.
So I'll create the account here and log in. And as I'm logging in, it will check that account to see if you have completed your profile. So it sees that I don't have a username or bio, so you can add that in right here with the Edit Profile button. But I'll just go to the main search page, where it'll bring up all the current results.
So from the gear seeker perspective, let's say the user story is that you live in Missoula and you have friends and family that are coming to town. They want to go see Glacier. And you're like, that sounds wonderful. Let's go camping, except I only have one sleeping bag. So, they don't want to buy a sleeping bag because they're here for just a couple of days. Unfortunately, you don't have any buddies that have a sleeping bag that you could borrow. Luckily, there's a sleeping bag up on GearBum. So if we select that listing,
So this is the listings, the page here. So we have the title and the category it is under and the user who has posted it. We have a description as well as a map that shows the current location. You can also click this mail icon to mail the user who's posted it. That doesn't work in the simulator, so I won't click on that right now. You can click on that user's profile name to look at their profile.
so once we click on, it happens to be my profile, we go through the process of requesting the sleeping bag to rent, but maybe we want to go float while we're in town. That's a fun thing to do in Missoula. So it appears that I didn't provide any gear for floating. Let's check the search gear. So this is all available listings. Now we click on filter, which filters through different categories, and we can select the water category. there's an inner tube, there's a canoe, our dog Evie. She's not for rent, it's the PFD. So, so we can continue the process and select something that we want to rent for the river.
So once you've created an account, not only can you search for gear, you can also post your gear for rent. So we'll go to the post page. So we can then fill out all the info for our equipment.
Yep, so you can select the category, you can insert the title, the price, the description of the equipment itself. You can enter in either using, you can enter the location manually, or you can click the switch and use my current location. Then we can select the photo. Once we do that.
Oh
Uh-oh.
no. So anytime these dialog buttons pop up on the simulator, it makes it go really slow.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, you might have to restart the sim.
We can also delete, but that was why we weren't going to delete. Just on the simulator, it takes a while.
Works really cool on phones, but it just takes up a lot on the simulator. So I'm actually going to quit that.
So what would have happened, and we can bring that back up, is that you're able to select the photo, then the photo appears in the selected images container, and then once you have your desired images, you just select post listing.
And that would show up under all the results. So
Yep.
that kind of concludes both user stories and kind of full flow of our app. So that's pretty much our full app. So
Yeah.
So what was technically the most challenging part of the project?
well, the biggest part was learning Xcode and kind of how that works and manipulating all the settings for our app and how we want to run it and this and that. So there's a lot to learn there and lots of headaches and just frustrations with that.
We'd spent a majority of the class learning to code itself. So working with Xcode provided its own challenges. We could have a week or a weekend dedicated just to learning Xcode. So that was something that's been one of our last hurdles to get over in this last week and get it into beta test and allow others to test it, have some internal testing, get some reviews in there. We saw some snowshoes pop up. And I was like, whoa, who put a listing of snowshoes? It was one of our awesome internal testers.
So getting it off the laptop onto an actual phone was a big piece, but
Yeah.
it looks really cool on the phone, which is probably my favorite part, is getting it up and running.
Having it in your hands was really cool. So
Is Gearbub actually on the App Store?
we've submitted it to the App Store, but we haven't heard back yet.
It's a longer process than we thought originally. So
Yeah.
Why did you guys pick SQL database rather than Mongo database?
we just wanted to learn it. We
Yeah.
hadn't done that before, so
Just
wanted
to
to tackle that.
mix it up, utilize Code School to the best we could.
And SQL's more prevalent than Mongo, I
Mhm.
think, in the workplace. So
How'd you guys break up the work and who did what?
You know what we did, very similar to what the Tavern did. We worked on it together, pair programming. That way, both of us really wanted to be involved in the whole process and to be able to work on it together and make sure that there wasn't something that we craved to do but didn't get to do. You know, each file we had a part in it, we had shared effort, and that was really important to us.
2 minds are better than one. We can both catch spelling errors and missing commas and stuff like that. So.
And what language do you guys use to write the app in?
It was in React Native. That's kind of like React, but there's some subtle differences that were very annoying that we learned along the way. Like CSS was wildly different, and yeah, it was just little things here and there that drove us crazy. But eventually, we got the hang of it. So
After using React Native, if you were to build another mobile app, would you do it in React Native or would you build in Swift?
You know, it's interesting bringing that up because we saw Swift demonstrated at Big Sky DevCon, and it looked very interesting. One of our other Code School students has been working a little bit with Swift on our own time. It's hard to say because I think we both enjoyed React Native, but then again, you want to continue to learn. So I would say just a two-pronged approach. Keep working with React Native, nurture those skills, and learn a different technology.
I think I want to learn Swift. Sounds pretty cool. So.
Great. What surprised you while you were building the app versus everything else that was exciting in the code?
It surprised me how, well, there's like navigating through web pages was pretty intuitive, but navigating through different web pages in the app or different pages in the app was different. You could also just reload the component. So displaying things in the app is different, kind of thinking about user experience is different than on a web page. So that was an interesting challenge to kind of think about redesigning an app as opposed to a website.
It did feel a little bit more nuanced, things that we had to be in tune with that obviously we could have done the same with our first website, but we were only a couple weeks into code school at that time. Get another crack at the website, I think there's things that we would have not paid a little bit more attention to, but just that we know now would have implemented.
Great. All right, well, you guys want to go set up and everybody can dig into your code now?
Sure.
Cameron?
Thanks, everybody.
My name's Kai Hochstel, and I'm the co-founder of the Montana Code School. Tonight we're here at Gecko Designs, who have graciously hosted their space for us for the demo day of our current cohort. This is the third cohort we've had, and we have 2 cohorts going on at this time, one here in Missoula and one in Bozeman. So far to date, we've graduated 39 students from the Montana Code School who've moved into technical fields, be it programming, project management, development, and other adjacent fields. The Montana Code School was started in June of last year as a program to provide a career change opportunity to individuals in Montana and around the state. We're teaching HTML, JavaScript, CSS, Node.js, and SQL. Our students, some of them are everywhere from the age of 20 to 52. They're taking their life experience and becoming technical individuals through that process. Through that, we get to see individuals who have worked in deep fields and have a lot of domain experience take that and really become phenomenal developers as they've wanted to make a quick career change. It's a 12-week program that's 40 hours a week, and it's very intensive. Our students have to do it full-time, and they quit their jobs and dedicate the entire time to that. You can learn more about the Montana Code School at montanacodeschool.com and email us at talk@montanacodeschool.com. For more information, you can reach out to our Executive Director, Amita Greer.